Good evening, and welcome to the 16th edition of the LIVRESQ Empower Your Teaching webinar. I said good evening, but it might be another time of day where you are. So if you're joining us live, good morning or good afternoon, or even good late at night. It's really great to be here, and I'm really excited to show you the topic of today's meeting, which is how to start off creating lessons. We've covered this already before, but this is more special because we're going to go into multiple ways to do so and to all the possibility that LIVRESQ offers you in terms of starting out and creating lessons from scratch. Without further ado, I'll share my screen and we'll share our editor. While I do that, I'd like to mention that if you are joining us live on Zoom, you can turn on your mic and ask questions, or you can write them in chat. I will be following the chat. If you are live on Facebook, again, I'm also following that chat, so I'm watching what's going on there, so you can write a message and I'll see it and I'll answer your questions in real time. And if you're watching a recording of this, whether on Facebook or on YouTube, then if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and we will get back to you as soon as possible. So the topic for today, it was really carefully chosen because a lot of the questions, or the question we get most often, is how do you start working with LIVRESQ? Or what does it mean to just create a resource instead of a project? But how do you start off? And what's the purpose of all these buttons? And sort of the philosophy behind LIVRESQ is to give the user a lot of control and to give the user alternatives for different styles and different ways to create lessons. And that's why we have so many options, and that's why there are so many things you can do with LIVRESQ generally. And even for starting a lesson, even for starting to create a project, it can be an ebook. We call them lessons because that's how most teachers, most of our clients and most of our users use it to create lessons, but LIVRESQ is versatile enough that it allows you to create ebooks as well. So it all depends on you. And basically, you get a clue on how to start straight from the Create New button, because it shows you that you can create a project, a section, and a resource. And usually when we demonstrate LIVRESQ, we start off with project. This is the easiest way because you can sort of have the bigger picture of what you can make. So you create, you go straight to the whole project, and a project in LIVRESQ contains sections. Sections are sort of chapters or pages or any other way you want to organize your content. And inside those sections, we have the content, which we call resources. So inside each section, we add, images, text, and any other type of interactive resource. But the catch is that you can start from any level. So you can create a resource first and then introduce it to a larger lesson, create multiple resources. You can start creating a section or multiple sections and then introduce them to a project. And also these elements can be exported from a project, so you can take them and use them somewhere else. And that's basically how what we'll be covering today. I will very quickly go through, or not very quickly, but I will spend some time going through all these options and then showing you how you can move them around. Now, the basic principle in LIVRESQ is that since this is a builder that works, or a content author that works in a browser, everything is saved automatically. And the place where you can find all your work is the resources page here. So whenever you create a project, a section, or a resource, you can find it here. And you can organize this space in any way you please. You can create folders the way I've done here. You can change the view. So I have two folders. These, I assure you, are filled with different projects or different resources or sections. If I wanted to create another project, I can use this option here. If I wanted to change the view from a grid view to a list view, again, I can use these buttons. And once I select something, we use a single click to select elements in LIVRESQ, similar to Windows or even to Mac OS, and double click to edit. So if I wanted to enter this folder, I double click it, and here you can see that I have multiple trial projects and resources and sections. In order to go back, I'll just click resources again. And it allows you basically to organize and store your content in a way that works for you. Of course, you can also search for certain things using the search bar here. Once you select something, I started talking about that and sort of got distracted. Once you select, for instance, a folder, some buttons activate up here and you can do different things. You can move the folder, you can delete it, or you can rename it. If I select a different element, for instance, a project, I can share it, I can move it around, I can view it, and I can edit it. Now, sharing is for premium accounts only. So if you want to work with a colleague, a partner, a friend at the same resource or project, you can only share it if you have a premium account. And the resources that you shared will also appear, that you share will also appear here, and the resources that were shared with you will appear here under shared with me. But this is where your local resources, where your work is. So if we go back to the home page, and if we select create new something or even import a material, then it would automatically be saved under resources. Now, the options for creating a project are pretty straightforward. There are three main options. The first one that says new project allows us to create a completely blank project. No content on it, just like a little text box. No images, no nothing, a section and a text box inside it. That's it. If we wanted to use AI, and if you haven't seen this yet, what it can do and how you can organize a lesson, then you select Project AI. I'll just very quickly show you because this was recently added to LIVRESQ at the beginning of this year, not so recent anymore. I keep saying recently, but we're still working on making this tool better. Basically, what this allows you to do is generate a lesson or a piece of content, whatever you want to call it, on a certain topic, with a certain duration, about a certain subject, for an audience of a certain age. And you can select other parameters as well. So once you fill in this form, then it will generate a structure, it will generate a few chapters for you. And then you'll have an entire lesson with even suggestions for multimedia, for quizzes. It doesn't yet edit quizzes, images, and videos, but it does provide little snippets of text that you can again use AI to edit. So it's a great starting point, probably the easiest starting point. All of these lessons work on the same template, so right now at the moment, but we will be adding multiple templates and they will be more customizable as we go along. So they kind of look in a similar way. There's the same colors and they're arranged, the information is arranged in the same way, but with time we will keep adding to these templates. This is sort of the easy way. And again, this works only if you have a premium account. But if you don't have a premium account, or if you want to use LIVRESQ in a different way, you can start with a new project. I'll actually do this very quickly. It opens automatically here in my sections page. If I double click the main section, you'll see that I only have one text box, and that's basically everything I've got in this project. It's essentially a blank project. It is automatically named. This is how many blank projects I've started. That's why it says 44. If we click on the logo and go back, go under resources, we can now find it here. Now, if we want to use a ready-made template, there are a few that are displayed here, but we can click browse all templates, and we have a list of possible templates that you can use. Basically, we have entered this section over here. We've been to resources. We've sort of covered what shared by me and shared with me mean. If you have a free account, you'll see that these are disabled. Recent resources is where we've just, the resources we've just edited. And templates is where we can find all the templates that LIVRESQ provides. Now, I'd like to draw your attention very quickly to the fact that there are different icons for these templates. So this box-like image symbolizes a project. these pages are sections. So this, for instance, is a template for a single section. In order to view the template, we will select it using a single click, like I'm doing now. And then up here, we can go into view mode. And a pop-up will appear that shows us the element, because it can be either a section or a project in question. So we've previewed a section. If I want to preview an entire project with more elements, then this is what the project looks like. In order to use a template, once I found one that I like, I can view it like this, close it, and then by selecting the same project or the same template, I can click use, and then it will automatically duplicate this template and create a copy of it in my resources. So I'm doing this very quickly just to show you sort of how it saves and how we work by duplicating materials. By the way, if you want to use your own project as a template, so if you just want to keep two versions of the same project, you can also duplicate that project. We'll do that very quickly once this template duplicates. And basically, after it duplicates, you'll see that it will open straight away. Now I have two projects open, the one that you've already seen, and this one, the template that I've just selected that I can now edit. I double clicked the main section, it only had one section, and I can now edit as I please. By the way, you can have multiple projects open in LIVRESQ. This is really useful. You can click the plus here to create again a resource, or you can open another project from anywhere, basically from your resources, and it will appear there. If you want to see the projects you have open once you've sort of exited the area where you can edit projects, you can click on workshop, and I'm back to the two projects I've opened. I can close this one, open it again from resources, and now I have both of my projects open. And I was saying that you can duplicate a project that you've previously created in order to use it as a template, which means selecting it from here and duplicating it. And right now it's creating a copy of that project, and I can edit the second version. I can rename it so that it makes sense for me to use it as a template 100% by modifying information. And actually, in our practice as instructional designers who build courses with LIVRESQ, we do use duplicate a lot in order to keep the same settings for different elements. So this is a really useful feature because you can duplicate not only entire projects, but also resources inside projects. And that's how you make sure you keep the same settings for a certain resource. So this is more a meeting about sort of showing you the kitchen inside LIVRESQ and giving you some tips and tricks on how to work with the resources you've created so far. Right. So these are the three ways that we can create projects. And by the way, you can create a project either from the home screen, as you've seen. Under resources, we also have a create resource button. You can select section, project, or resource, or import from here. So the same pop-up appears. And you saw that while I was in the workshop, you also have a plus here. So if you want to start something new, you have three different options, and three different options for creating a new project. But I was telling you that you can also start by creating a new section. So if you want to first create multiple sections and then introduce them to a project, you can do that. If you want to create a general section that you want to introduce into multiple projects, we use this, for instance, for navigation guides or things that we might need for multiple courses, then we use this create a section button. Again, the same pop-up appears. You can select project section here. We're going to go with section, and we can either select one of the templates or a new section, which essentially creates a new blank section. And again, we can see it's section. I've been saying section a lot because we have this little page icon here as opposed to the box icon for projects. And right now this is open. And if you haven't worked with LIVRESQ ever before, the way we add different content to our lessons is by dragging and dropping content. So if I wanted to add an image, you saw me take it from the content area and dropping it inside my project. I won't go into the structure of a section. We have multiple videos about that. You can go back and check those. The information is there, unless you need me to, and then I can look at one of the comments or look at the participants to the Zoom meeting, and then we'll explain it again, or we can direct you. If you're writing a comment later on, we can direct you to where you can find information on that. So I can add content and I now have a section. But what do I do with it? My progress saves automatically in LIVRESQ. You saw everything in resources. Now I have my three projects: the original project, empty project that I created, the copy of it, the template that I duplicated, and my section. But what do I do with the section? How do I add it to a project? And here, after I've opened the project, I have this button that says Add from the Organizer. And this is where, if I click it, I can browse my resources section and select a section from there. And now basically what I have is a copy of section 2. It doesn't add that particular section, it duplicates it inside the project. So you still have the original section in your resources, so it's still saved here. What we have here is a copy of it, just like we had a copy of the project, because we don't want, or maybe you don't want to have all the edits made to the section inside the project also made to the section that you've originally created. So that's basically, it basically duplicates the section inside the project. We also have the possibility to export a section. So I'm in any project under sections in this area. If I select one of my sections, then I can also export the element to the organizer. I can even add it to a folder. So what I did was select the section and then, and then export it to organizer. I click the export in resources. I didn't select any folder, and that's why it will export automatically to resources. And I have it here exported. I have section number 1 and section number 2. So if you want to create this sort of a general section and add it to the project, or maybe you've created a section in one of the projects and you want to use it somewhere else, you can export it and both import sections. And that's how this works, because maybe you want to start creating from that level. But also, we can start fresh in LIVRESQ by creating a new resource. I keep going back to home because this is the easiest, or one of the easiest ways to create a new element. But you saw that there are multiple ways, either from resources or from the workshop by using plus. So whatever way you prefer, you still have the same pop-up. And if I click create new resource, so here I have resource, I can select from multiple resources, whatever sort of interactive or non-interactive resource I need, apart from text. We cannot create a text resource. We just add these to sections and to sections inside projects. So what this does is allow me to create a separate resource. Let's say, for instance, that I wanted to create a quiz to add maybe a feedback form that I later on want to add to multiple projects. Then I can just create it here. It will automatically save. I can rename it. I haven't shown you this. Let's say feedback form. I won't edit this this quiz at all. If I'll close it. If I go under resources now, I can find it here. And you may have seen, if you've watched our previous videos, you may have seen me do this when I added a resource to a video. Because you can do that in LIVRESQ. You can take a resource that you have here, a resource that you created separately, and have it appear at a certain point inside a video. This works very well for in-video questions, for instance. So now I have this quiz, and I need to add it not necessarily to a video, but to a certain section. I need to add it as separate content. So how do I do this? I no longer have an import once I'm inside a section, any section. I no longer have an import button, and I cannot import it. I cannot add it to from organizer as a section because it is not a section. It's grayed out, so I cannot use this to add it. And that's why there's a different tool that we've created to allow you to do this, which is under here in the content side, under templates. And it's the same principle. We drag and drop this resource from organizer, it's called, and we can select the quiz and insert it inside our lesson. And now we essentially have a copy again of that quiz to insert inside my section wherever I need it to be. If I want to add it to a video, the in-video question that I've mentioned before, I've just added a video to my lesson. I'll double click the video to edit it, and I can insert it as a keyframe. And this again pops up my menu where I'm allowed to select from the resources I've created and the resources that are saved under resource. So I can now add the quiz inside the video. I just need to select a time. This is our placeholder video from LIVRESQ. This is only 9 seconds long, so maybe I'll add it at second number 5, and then I can play it. And once the video reaches second number 5, I'll just mute it for a bit before I play it. Then the questionnaire, the quiz that I inserted will pop up. I can skip it if you want more detailed explanations about how to edit this feature and how to add other resources, because essentially the principle is the same. We create a resource from scratch from any point where you want to create a resource, and then we later on add it either to a video or inside a lesson, inside a section. So this is how you can play around with everything, and it's, of course, not as easy. It really depends a lot on what you need LIVRESQ for. The easiest and most intuitive way to do it is by starting off with a project, whether you're using a project that is generated by AI, or whether you are using a template or starting with a blank project. And then from inside this project, as we edit the sections, we can keep adding content to it by dragging and dropping. So as I've demonstrated before, I'm now inside project 44 in the blank section that was originally created, because we've been playing around with sections and adding and copying and moving them from one place to another. I can double click this section to edit, and I can keep adding content from the right-hand side. If, however, I have any resource that I've created previously that I maybe want to add to all of my projects or to multiple projects, then I can use this button to add a resource from the organizer. I can select the resource from my saved resources that save automatically, and add it straight to my project. And this is essentially how it works. Now, again, you'll see the quiz pop up. And besides adding resources either to videos or inside sections, resources that we've created previously, you can also create entire sections that you can then add to projects by going into the main menu of the project, selecting sections, where automatically whenever you open a LIVRESQ project, you are in sections, and importing or adding a section from the organizer. But again, one of the main principles of working with LIVRESQ's internal memory is that it keeps creating copies of these resources and templates. So this is one entity, one instance of the section, and the section that you will be adding to your project is a copy of it. Because once you edit the section, for instance, let's just do this again. I want to add this section to my project. I already have a section 1, section 2. Let's delete one of them. We'll delete copy of section 2. And if I go here and say add from organizer and add, let's say, section number 2, I select it and then click insert down here. I now have a copy of section number 2, because if I modify something in it, for instance, this, I delete that image and maybe I delete the video as well, then, and I go back to that section inside my resources, it will not be changed. So I'm only changing that copy of the a copy of the section, a copy that now belongs to project 44, to this new empty project that I've created. And I can do this as many times as I want. It just needs to so I'm sort of trying to clarify the fact that it's a copy of it, and it's the same way that we use templates. We create copies of that template, of a certain template, either a template that we've provided, or you can use your own projects as templates, as I've done here, just by duplicating the project. And we keep creating copies of that same project just to use them as the templates, but these are different instances. So if I edit this, or if I edit maybe one of the templates, because we also created a project starting from a template and this is it. If I edit something here, it won't edit, of course, the template that you can find under templates in LIVRESQ. So these are some of our principles on how you can begin and on how everything works and how everything is organized inside the editor. And maybe some ideas that can help you. The fact that you can start either from the resource itself and add it into a section, or add it to a video if you want it to appear during the playtime of a video. The fact that you can start from a section and then maybe adding that section to multiple projects, or you can start straight from the project and maybe creating a project using AI, or using a template or a blank new project with no information on it that you can then add content to. And adding and editing content in LIVRESQ works really easily just by double clicking. So if I want to add, and we'll go through this again very quickly, something, then I'll just drag and drop it wherever I need it. If I want to add another row, for instance, because we have multiple elements, we have rows, cells, and inside the cells is where we add the content. And I can just add, I don't know why I keep adding images. I think it's the easiest, sort of one of the most visual resources that we have, because it's not interactive. And in the edit mode, you cannot interact with content, because if we double click it and if we interact with it, then it will just go into editing mode. In order to go back to the section, we click on the title of the section. And on the right-hand side, according to the element that we've selected, we can see some properties, some settings that we can change for the element that is selected. For instance, if I wanted this image to appear in my lesson using a certain effect, maybe flip, then this is where I do it from. I select the image and then I click I select one of the effects. More advanced settings can also allow you to add some things that have to do with the duration of the animation, delay, the duration itself, and maybe how it sort of appears, the rhythm in which it appears. That's why we keep saying that we have a lot of options and that it's a complex tool, because even settings like this that are sort of hidden away allow you to give more depth to the lesson. But again, if I had this image and if I would have taken it from the organizer, then editing it in the project would mean that I only edit this instance. And in order to, in case you are joining us late, in order to add a resource that you've previously saved in the organizer, then we use this box here under templates and we drag and drop it to where we want. We select the resource, we insert it where we want it to be, and then it's inside inside our lesson. And by the way, if we need to if we want to export any resource to the organizer. So you can also create resources inside projects, inside sections that you can then add to your saved resources. You can select it and click this button, Export to Organizer. It will show you the route and you can select different folders. If you say Export in Resources, if I now navigate to Resources, you will see, oh, actually this exported the entire section, I think. Yeah, not the image. Right, because this is always available. So you need to be creating resources from scratch. That was my bad. You create a resource from scratch and you add it just like I added the resource from under templates here. And you can export the section to the organizer straight from the section. You don't need to be in this screen here. And this essentially allows you to work very seamlessly and to add elements, multiple elements to different projects or to multiple projects. The way sort of we suggest you can use these, but these are just some use cases that we've encountered or that we do when we create courses, is maybe creating a common feedback form, maybe creating a navigation guide, so a little piece of information that tells your students or whoever is your learners, basically, users even, how to navigate inside the lessons, where they can find menus and things like this, or how to use the avatar, maybe. So all of this is sort of just to ensure that you have enough versatility to create your own style of working with LIVRESQ and to allow you to basically add your own input as easily as possible. And by looking at how people work, because I've had this opportunity, I'm very fortunate in that respect to have had the opportunity to see multiple people use LIVRESQ even after comprehensive training, and I've noticed that everybody sort of gains their own style, develops their own style. They start using and playing around with resources and projects in general in multiple ways. And even though that makes the tool complex, and even though that generally when we do these webinars or trainings, we try to show one way so as not to confuse people, I think that the more you advance in working with this tool, the more you learn about it. It's a really nice to have feature, the fact that you can go about it however you please and however it fits either the project or the material you're working on and your personality as well. This is mainly what I wanted to cover today. I think it's information that is useful, and some tips and tricks that are that make it easier for us to work with LIVRESQ. If you have any questions or if you want to me to go through anything again, then please ask. I am here for you, and I'm watching all of the chats. If you have a question for after this meeting, if you have a question for when you're viewing a recording of this, please leave it in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. We are here twice a month on Thursdays, and the idea generally is to cover a feature or to cover something about LIVRESQ, and even let you know about news once new versions come out and new features come out. So stay tuned. We are announcing these meetings on Facebook and also through our newsletter. So I'm really pleased if you want to join us again. Thank you so much for your attention, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time on Thursday.